Hello, everyone. A lot of chairs. Hello, warm welcome. Very nice to have you here. Warm welcome to the Hau Hebel am Ufer. Warm welcome, of course, also to Berlinale Talents. And for those who know us, or are talents, you know that we are traveling the world. So we have people from 86 countries this year in our talents group. And also, of course, among the guests, we are everywhere in the world. But sometimes also, we are in Germany. And we're very happy, of course, to be here and also to welcome wonderful people from our home country. And today you will meet three wonderful people directly here from Berlin. But before you're introduced to the Komplizen, I would like to introduce you to the moderator. And the moderator is Matthijs Wouter Knol.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Florian, for that introduction and also for the already becoming aware that we're going to have a focus and a bit of time with some of the best people working together here in Germany. You'll have a chance to listen to how they have developed themselves. You'll have the chance to talk to them and ask questions to them. And of course, you'll see some nice footage and some nice examples of the things they've been working on. Without much further ado, I'd like to welcome on the stage the Komplizenfilm secrets, the secrets behind the Komplizenfilm, Maren Ade, Janine Jackowski and Jonas Dornbach. Please join. So just for you to know, there's so much light here that you always have to think a little where are we here? And the first floor, there's also people sitting. So later on, just don't be surprised if there's the voice coming from a place you can't see. We've been talking a little bit also to see how we can do it. Because if you talk about collaboration, of course, it's also about how does a collaboration actually start? I mean, do you know when a collaboration starts? And when you meet, do you know that you're going to collaborate? I think each of you has a very interesting history of how things started and how Komplizen also built up. So apart from just talking about the company that unites you, each of you, of course, also has a background and a reason that at some point you actually Komplizen came on your way. I know that Janine and Maren, you studied together in Munich at the University of Television and Film, the HFF, and you basically set up Komplizen there, or it took its first shape, I would say, there. Can you maybe say something a little bit about how that happened and why you decided to work together to start with?
Yeah. Actually, I think we met in front of the door before when we had our first talk, to the professors, if we would get into the film school. And Maren was also studying production at that, or applying for production, and she was in that room before me. And she came out, and I was asking, what did they ask, and everything. So this is the first time we met, and then we met again. And when actually on the first day the film school started, and we were both students, and at the Munich Film School you do your first short film very soon, only a few months after we started studying. And we have been both producing a first short film, and after that, Maren had the strong feeling that she would want to direct a first short film.
I knew I was maybe made a mistake with my choice for production. Now it's good because I'm still part of a production company, and it was good to learn something, but. I don't know, I was the first moment when we all met together with the students who could study directing, I was like, oh shit, I should have chosen, to apply for that. But so I asked Janine if she could maybe produce a short that I direct and that I wrote. So, and that was the first short we did as Komplizenfilm. Yes. Yeah, and we did it completely out of the film school, so we couldn't even use a camera because I was not a student for directing. Yeah, but she did a very good job, and we got so much more money than the real students that it was like a secret revenge, like to, yeah.
And you knew you had to stick with Janine to make things work.
Yeah, I knew it's the perfect for forever, like here. Yeah.
Yes.
Jonas, you joined, I think, around 10 years later as a partner, so to say, but you worked already with Komplizen before, when I understood it correctly. Can you say a little bit, like at some point you understood that you had to stick with both Maren and Janine as well? What was the moment for you, or actually you had no idea and they asked you? How did that go?
Yeah, actually we met 2004 or 2003, I think. They had their film The Forest for the Trees in Hof, and Janine and I, we met on a dance floor, and somehow we started to talk, and it was yeah, and we came very well along each other. And
Which dance floor was that?
it was on I don't remember the party, but
Yeah.
you see my eye. That was also on our dance floor. We had the 20th anniversary 2 days ago, so we like to dance. Anyhow, so we met, and then
It's not true. No, it's true.
and then they were looking for a production manager, actually, for the second feature film of Maren called Everyone Else. And I grew up in Italy, so they thought, okay, this guy speaks Italian, maybe it could be a match. And then working with Maren and working with Janine is very intense, so the demand was very high. So we got to know each other very, very well on that production, and yeah, and it was really a great collaboration. And then actually I had my own company, and then I thought, okay, maybe I quit my own company, and that took another 2 years. And Everyone Else was in 2007, and then I quitted the company in 2009, and yeah, in 2010 I finally joined them for real.
So basically Komplizen started with sharing tips about how to get into a film school, or actually making films outside of the film school and making that a bit work, or dancing with each other on dance floors, which I think might be something that many of the people in the room here attending Talents or having the experience of being in film schools might actually recognize, or maybe not. I don't know how that is. I mean, a lot has happened since then. First of all, you celebrated Komplizenfilm being 20 years old last Sunday. You just referred to it. These kind of collaborations, of course, you know, you never plan them in advance. You never probably also thought about that when you were sharing tips on the corridor of the Munich Film School. I also think, and that's what we like to, I think, do this afternoon, is go a little bit through the different stages of how you collaborate, how you maybe also change that collaboration over the years, because I'm sure things have changed as well in those years. And Komplizenfilm is also not only the three of you, in the meantime also other people that work with you. But maybe it's also nice to start, you just mentioned the title, to show a little clip of Alle anderen,
Everyone Else.
Everyone Else. Which was a film that premiered here in Berlin, actually. Yeah. Was in competition in 2009. And also won an award, the Grand Jury Prize, but also the award for the Best Actress, Birgit Minichmeier, who back then, maybe you can say something about the film. We show one clip. Was that somebody you worked before, actually, with her? Or was it the first time you worked with Birgit? Yeah.
No, it was the first time. Yeah. It's about a couple on holidays in Sardinia. It's, yeah. Actually, we all worked on this film, no matter if it's already our film, so yeah.
So let's see the opening part of Everyone Else, 2009. I think one of the best openings from German cinema in the past 10 years, I would say, or 11 years in the meantime. So this was a film, actually, Maren, that you worked on while being part also of the collaboration, but this is also a film, of course, that took a lot of time for you to work, to write, to direct and everything. And it was also a film that after it premiered here and got a lot of acclaim and became successful, I think also meant a lot to your collaboration and the way you worked together, and each of you also continued working. How can you say maybe a bit about how it is for you and how you do that when you work on a film that requires so much attention and dedication of your time? Does it mean you're sort of like fade out a little bit and you really focus on the writing process? How can I imagine that?
Yeah, I mean, that's also why we realized during that production that Janine needs a proper partner, like someone, who's producing, and because I can't do, and especially when I'm directing or especially during the shooting, I cannot be a producer anymore, because if I leave that chair, then it's empty. You know, I need to defend what I want to do. I need to argue with them, and so then we really go into this role play. Everybody's where he belongs, and of course, I think in the script work or in the development of the script, we are always very close. So, and this is something that gets better and better, because knowing each other and trusting each other. I can almost send every shitty document to them, and I don't feel bad about it. You know, this is something that's good after 20 years. I know they know. They know how to read it. And so there we are very close, but during shooting, of course, it happens that we are like, I'm like going home and saying, they want, or you say, of course, like, now she wants that again. And so this is really necessary, I think. But there's always this, for example, in every film, we had the situation that I wanted, for example, to reshoot a whole shooting day. So this is something really expensive, and we really have to decide that together. And I also feel that I really have to have very good arguments. It's not that because I'm also a producer, I can just go and say, no, but I want this point. So we really need to decide that together, because first, I don't want the responsibility, and second, I need someone who's, someone to think about, like, is that really necessary? Also, during Toni Erdmann, there was a day that we did again, and that's a big luxury, of course. But the luxury is also to have two producers who are really like so much into the project. That we really discuss the content constantly. Yeah.
And how's that for you, Janine and Jonas, that you basically say, okay, this is a film written, directed by Maren, so that role changes. So when it's not a film that is directed by you, how do you sort of like reshuffle those kind of responsibilities? Is that something that then changes, or how do you have meetings where you say, like, listen, whose film is this gonna be?
I think really every project is really different, and every project comes to us in a different way. Sometimes we are involved like from the very first idea, and sometimes we get a final script. Sometimes it's filmmakers that we reach out to where we have seen the films. Sometimes it's a co-producer that introduces us to a project or a director. So that is really, really different, and it's really like one of us has to really burn for the project or the filmmaker. And then we introduce the project to the other ones and ask always like for their opinions. And then there are some basic decisions that we always take, the three of us. It's like if we accept a project or not. Also, like on financing, we always work together, or how we structure the distribution, or who like, for example, which festival would we want to approach, or who are the distributors or the world sets we would want to work with. And then, but there are projects that are mainly on your desk or on my desk in the meantime. That was also really a process, like at the beginning, we would always take care of the projects together, and then we would, like divide like what to do within the project. But now it's more like there's one main responsible person, but we sit across from each other. So I always listen to his phone calls. So and we so it's.
Yeah, as Janine mentioned, I think it really changed. Before it was really that we knew everything in the whole process, and now it's, as the project quite a lot, and every project, as Janine mentioned, it really has its own challenges. But I think, yeah, the real advantage is that we work so close together that actually, is somebody for some reason is jumping out for kids or for whatever reason, that the other one can really jump in. And I personally, I really like it to have a partner where I can just drop a line and say, listen, but how is it? Should we do that now, or should we not do this? And then it's great to have Maren, who's then coming from very outside, so to say, because I have the feeling that we are always kind of in this, anyway, bubble of film and in this tunnel where, you think everything is so important and you don't have really a measure anymore. And then Maren sometimes comes very strict and say, what are you talking about? Why? It's obvious, like, and we
only
trust
with
so
other projects, not with mine. With mine, I'm like.
Yeah, and again, like every filmmaker is so different and has so different demands, and we always try to look very carefully at what is it that this film and this filmmaker needs, actually.
How would you define, I mean, how do you see, even though I can imagine that with every film project and filmmaker there's different roles or needs that you'd like to fulfill as a producer, but how would you for yourself, or how do you see yourself as a producer in the process? Like what would you call yourself in that sense? Is that somebody who, like as very often is done, not somebody who's just helping with the financing or also being part of the creative part, or do you see yourself really as somebody also having, with the company, also having a task of developing and nurturing people, like making them grow over the years, or how do you see that for you?
Yeah. I think again that's really very different. I mean, there's like, for example, Maren, or there's another producer director that we have been studying with, Sonja Heiss. We produced like from every short film until and now. And that is, of course, a different relationship because we know each other so well, and that has been has developed. And it's really, I mean, there are some filmmakers who really are asking for something like a very close partnership, creatively wise. And then there are the ones who just ask for your opinion, and then they lock themselves up again in their room and work on it, and then they can come out again and show what they have done. So that's really very, very differently, but we really always try. I mean, it's really, you learn so much by doing mistakes, and we did many mistakes during all these years, and we try to not fall again in the trap we have already been, and we of course like to share our mistakes, basically.
So maybe let's go to a project that was certainly not a mistake, because you started working with Miguel Gomes from Portugal and with the production company behind it. I'd like to show the trailer of that film instead of maybe showing a scene, just to give a bit of an idea. There's a film that's also very, very successful, was also in the competition here in Berlin, also won an award, the Alfred Bauer Prize, that now cannot be called like that anymore, but it was the award that it got.
How is it called now?
Sorry?
It's a prize.
It's a prize. That's a good question. It's I don't know, the prize.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's the prize for innovation, but it doesn't sound so good. So I think might be another name. Let's think about it. Maybe at the end of the session, I'll think about it.
Dieter.
No. For example, yeah. Let's maybe show the trailer, and then maybe you can tell a little bit what working with Miguel Gomes actually meant and how that was like to work with him. Yeah. So the trailer of Taboo. So with Taboo and with Miguel Gomes working on this film, I know that for non-German producers, German production companies are very, very popular to work with, because everybody says, oh, there's so many chances of getting financing in Germany and so on. That's also where many talents are here and hoping to find a German producer. Can you say how you started working on this project? Like, who approached you? Did you see a film by him and you felt like we need to work with him, or was it the other way around?
Like we went to Buenos Aires after that was our first festival that we went to after the Berlin Film Festival
with everyone else. So,
yes, was invited and the both of us we went.
Yeah, and there was they did a retrospective on his because he made so many really incredible shorts that it was really already a very long project, and he made, I think it was two long features. And this film he made before Taboo, this our beloved month of August, this is so, I don't know, I loved this film so much. And I don't know, it was like the first, we were hanging out with them a lot. And I watched this, I think the whole program almost. And so, I don't know, we found out that the idea of the companies is a bit similar and tried to convince him that he needs a co-producer.
Yeah, so it was actually
it was the other way around.
Yeah. So it was actually really our first international co-production we did. So that's a really important one for us, and it was basically really the idea of working with the director producer team as well. That we really liked them so much. Still like spending time with those guys a lot, and we really obviously love the same kind of films, and really the idea was really we have to work together. Yeah.
I mean, that also resulted in another co-production that you did with Arabian Nights. So, like, having had that experience, because you also said, well, we felt like we needed to convince him to work together and to have a co-production. What did it add to Komplizenfilm in that sense, to have that experience of working abroad, working with a filmmaker that is not based in Germany? Did it change your way of working, or also like did it change your feeling of like this is apparently what you want to do more, because you started being a co-producer for many other films that became also very successful, most of them. How did that change your mindset as a group of people working together?
Now, again, it's really, I mean, like especially like for Arthouse films, international co-productions are a necessity in the meantime, because you can only, like also in Germany, you can only finance up to a certain point. So, like nearly also all the projects like that where we are the majority is in the meantime is an international co-production, because we also need the financing. And it's really basically also, of course, to support each other, and like this filmmaking that we love so much. And it's again like every project is so different. So like with every new project we still learn, and every project is so different. But it's unthinkable to not work internationally.
And I think we really fell in love with Miguel. So it was for us. I mean, the script was so crazy in a way. No, he was really thinking out of the box, and I mean, he had to reduce it because we didn't manage to get the whole budget. There were elephants before, and doing it was really. I mean, you read the script, you said it's incredible. Yeah, I mean, so and also him as the way he sees cinema, and his producer Luis Urbano. I think. What you were mentioning before, I think they really share the same vision that we have of cinema, and so for us it was clear, okay, we want to really work with him, and we will try everything to make this project happen. And so we tried also to make a retrospective for him here in Germany, in order to get him to know, because actually no of his films were distributed, and we were lucky that the Arsenal cooperated, and so we tried to. But it was a kind of a journey to do that.
So, moving on to like jumping a little bit to a different project, also to make sure that we have enough time for many other people probably to ask some questions. I'd like to fast forward a little bit to another film that you probably also partly parallel worked on, Maren, Toni Erdmann.
Parallel, maybe.
Might have been almost.
Was it parallel? When was? Yeah, maybe.
Taboo was in 2012, so I think. Probably you were working on it already. I'm not sure. I wasn't there. But
so long.
It took you a couple of years to, write and come up with a new film. Everybody's waiting for the film to come.
It's true, yeah. I counted.
So I think it was 2016 that Toni Erdmann was in Cannes, 4 years already. Sounds much longer than it actually feels like. So we talked already about that you probably in that time were, focusing on that project as well. Yeah. You being involved in a different way. We were talking a bit before we met each other here, and you said like, well, the funny thing is, if you do work on a project and the film is there, it is successful, it was very well received. You can tell a little bit more about a couple of things that happened after that later on. One thing is when the film is successful and it's released and you sell it to so many countries and everybody's sort of like hyping around the film and connects Komplizenfilm to it and so on, many people start working with your film as well. People start, creating trailers around it, creating advertisement around it, creating stories about it, creating an image around everything that you did. And I can imagine that in this case you were involved in that, in some cases maybe less involved in that. And you suggested to show a few trailers of Toni Erdmann that were made around the world for different markets that show a complete different film. And we thought it was a good idea. So maybe you can say something about the 3 trailers that we have. We have the German trailer, of course. We have the American trailer that we showed then after. And then there's also the French trailer. Maybe we should just watch them and you give a little bit of a comment after that, and also like in which you were involved, in which you were not involved, or maybe you were involved in all. So let's see the 3 trailers of Toni Erdmann before we move on to that exciting time for Komplizenfilm. The German one was not that strange, I think.
So, no. Sollen wir mal abstimmen? Who liked
so who would go to which film? Who would go to the first film? Which trailer did you like the best? Raise your hands. Like so, number 1. Don't forget upstairs. Okay, number 2, the US one. Okay. And the French one.
That's so good.
So now you can react.
I've never seen the French one.
No?
No, I don't know. I don't know. I just stopped. I don't know why. I really didn't know it. I don't know why. Yeah.
So can you tell something about, like, if you are, as a producer, are you involved in the German one, I guess, when you, of course, like, you released the film here, but the US one, the Sony Pictures Classics one, is that something you get to see before it gets released in the US? And with the French, the same? Apparently not, because you did not see it, or maybe you did.
I could have Googled it, of course, but yeah.
No, we've been involved in the German one, very much so, and we were really so surprised within the process. How different a trailer can be, or also the music. I mean, the music is completely different. Like the American is more like the classical way.
Yeah, I found it funny because when the American trailer, I liked it so much, but I think now I realize it just pleased my ego because of the journalist stuff, like. so maybe I was like just thinking, maybe it's just that what you liked.
Yeah. No, and I think the French one clearly had a younger audience in mind than the American ones. That the American was more to get the Academy members to watch it, and I mean they have invited now a lot younger, international and diverse community now to become members, but that's only like in very recent times. So that was the main goal of the American trailer, and the French trailer was basically to get the younger audience into the cinema. So it's really, yeah.
It's also funny because the film has no score. So of course, in the trailer, and I with the German trailer, I realize it. It's almost impossible. That's what we tried, but you cannot do a trailer with no music. But it feels like so funny. They all put this classic music, and then so it's not in the film. Yeah.
Is it something where you like see these trailers as a filmmaker, as a director, I can imagine that it's strange to see that, as you say, also on the level of sound and everything, but also as a producer, do you feel that something is kind of like being taken away or sort of sold in a way that you never meant it to be, or is it not so much the case?
I mean, I remember that with the my first feature, I felt very offended when the poster was not perfect, and I was like, oh no, it's not the film, and with the second film, it started that I made we had also a good distributor, and for them it was clear, no way, this is not your territory. And for me it was better. I felt so. If you ever are in that situation, I realized that nobody thinks that I do the poster, and the trailer. So yeah, I let it go. So it's better.
It's
better. Stay with that.
It's better. No, it's really like every country is different actually, and every audience has its different target points actually, and it's really good to trust the people that you work with.
So this film made quite some waves, not only in Cannes, many other festivals. We saw them in the American trailer, like a lot of logos of festivals, and the press giving lots of compliments on this film. I mean, when a film like this says, as one of the quotes is, the film basically proves that the death of cinema is complete rubbish because this film proves that that's not the case. That puts a lot of weight on your shoulders as well in the same time. The film was nominated, Academy Award nominated, BAFTA, Golden Globe, everything. How was that? Because I can imagine that for you, first of all, it's a great accomplishment and also acknowledgement of the work that you do and people liking the work you do. The pressure is there at the same time as well. How do you, when you think back of those years, like how was it for you individually, but also as a group? Like what did that do to your way of working and wanting to continue to work? I'm talking about all three of you, not only you as a director.
I mean, for me, it was... I had a bit my private situation was that I had a very small, my second child was like 7 months when the film had its premiere, so I was like, it was such a stress to finish the film because I started like I don't recommend it, and I don't think this should be like, because I don't like the idea that if you do it like that as a woman, sometimes you're like taken out as this example, but it was not nice, so I just did it because it was my second child. So no, but I thought no, it was really something different, and I thought anyway I have to finish the film, and I will never find a good time for it. So, but I was so exhausted when we were in Cannes, and then it was like okay, now you have a lot more work, and I was like, no, I go home now. I do nothing. So. And this was so, I tried to have fun, but it was a lot of, arrangement necessary. And it's really, it's different when you're running around there doing press, traveling with sometimes 2 children, 2 grandmothers, breastfeeding. So it's, you feel like sometimes everybody was very nice and helped me, but sometimes you feel like you brought a muddy dog or something, so that's the feeling, so, but like you had fun, so it was,
fun.
They had a great time.
I was just saying today, sometimes, or yesterday, I think, sometimes I wish now I could be myself back in that time, and then I would enjoy it more, because I mean, for us, it was really the first time that something like this happened, and that we did this award campaigning. It's a completely new world. Also, I mean, we really learned so much, but it was like all these different stations. It was like really like right after on the premiere night in Cannes. A nice man from Sony Classics came squeezing in between us and said hello, and then Michael
Barker,
And Michael Weber from Matt Factory, who did the sales, was already telling us now, okay, now that Sony Classics has the film, that means, I mean, they will build it up. And I was like, okay, what does that mean? But they were very cautious with us, and they only told us, like, from every festival, from every step to step, how much more there's still to come, because we were always saying we really have to plan. We all had young children at home, and we weren't expecting. Really, we didn't plan this. We were really kind of overwhelmed, and it was really an experience, and we did have really great moments, but it was really as you're not prepared. I mean, like for 1 year, basically, we did nothing else. It was really, and after Toni Erdmann, we had this complete development whole also of projects, because this whole trip kept us all so busy, and I mean, luckily we could afford it then, to have this development hole, and that was actually always after your films we have this development hole, because it's like taking, but it's also a great moment, because we always redefine ourselves, I would say, after your films, because it's always these milestones in our company, but it also. Yeah, it changed so much. It opened so many doors, but also, yeah.
How would you say that you redefined yourself for this in this case, for example, if you use the word redefine?
No, it's like really like after everyone else, it was kind of the same, and also with Toni Erdmann, we were really sitting all of us together. And really talking about where we want to go, like who are the filmmakers we want to work with, how many projects we want to, like what size of company we want to have, what do we do, how many majority German films do we want to make, how international co-productions, like, and who are actually the films that we want to do, yeah.
So in a way, like each of the films, without that being planned, sort of further professionalized also not only the company, but the things you learned and the way you started working way more internationally, which sort of came organically without you saying, listen, let's maybe make a film abroad. It actually sort of happened to you sometimes in those cases.
Yes, but as I was saying, it was also really these moments of this is where we want to go. Like after everyone else in Berlin, we were like, we really want to do international co-productions, and with after Toni Erdmann, it was also maybe our range became a little bit wider, and I really like that. So it's really, but also like, okay, who are the international filmmakers we want to work with? Who are the German, what we to do in Germany and everything. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think I remember when we were in LA on the Oscar campaign, and Maren just said, listen, it's just a moment, yeah? You will go home next week, and then we'll feed the kids, and that will be our normal life, and just we should be very aware of this. But what was really great on that journey with Toni, and as Janine was mentioning, it was really like being in a washing machine, and then just like going around, and then at a certain point we were thrown out. Was that it basically really didn't change the relationship between the three of us. So it was like, okay, we were there on a certain moment, really exposed and got a lot of attention, which was great for the company and opened new doors, and we had the possibility to raise more money and to really call somewhere, and the people were picking up the phone and we were not waiting. But yeah, as I mentioned, so between us, it really, we pay each other still the same, and it didn't change anything. So that was really a great moment when we felt that, beside many more moments.
No, I can imagine that shows the strength of collaboration in that sense. So let's move quickly to yet another co-production that you were involved in, A Fantastic Woman, which also premiered in Berlin. And actually did win an Oscar also 2 years ago for it was the Chilean entry, Sebastián
First
Lelio.
the Bear, the Silver Bear.
It won the Silver Bear. It won the Teddy Award, I think, even, and also the ecumenical, never know how to pronounce that word, in Berlin as well. let's watch a trailer, and then after that, I'd actually like to open the floor also to you. So please think about a question that you'd like to ask. There's mics in the room as well, and that we can include you in this conversation. A fantastic woman, Sebastian Lelio. It's funny to see that in the films, I remember also it being mentioned, I think, in one of the previous trailers, where it says there's always films with twists and situations that you kind of don't expect, which is sort of, when I see the trailers of the films you've been involved in, is a sort of a recurrent theme. So wondering if that's also something that you see in scripts probably already, and that's what you like. Anyway, you can answer about that, but actually I'd like to also see in the room who might have a question for Janine, Jonas, Maren. All three of them, one of them, please let us know. And maybe it's also nice if you ask the question to tell us where you're from, because I know there's many people from many countries in this room. That makes it also nice. I saw a question in the back here, and then here. Raise your hand so you can, yeah, thank you.
Hello?
It works.
Hello. Hi, I'm from Germany. And I have two questions. I have a question about your writing process, Maren, and how early you involve Jonas and Janine into that process. Because I think it's so fascinating how you write your ideas and thoughts and about the characters first, and then at some point there evolves a story. The story is not first. So at what point do you involve them? And the other question is about Synonymes, the Golden Bear winner last year. I thought it was fantastic. Maybe you could talk about that production and how you got involved in that.
First, the writing, yeah. I mean, also with every film it was different. So, for example, with Everyone Else, I started. I tried to write to start like you should do it, like exposé treatment, but I felt I couldn't get what it's about for me. So. I started writing dialogues directly, first very random, just a couple talking, and to make the characters or bring them to life more, because sometimes for me it's not so. When you write an exposé or like a character description, you often start to talk about the past of the character, but in the end you have a film and there's a scene and something is happening, and there shouldn't be too much message acting or infos there that don't belong there. So it's good to know your characters, but I think in the end it's often not about all that stuff. So I try to skip that sometimes. And with Toni Erdmann it was different, because there was, in a way, I had my own father who was a joker star in a way, or who loved to play jokes on us. And then I did a long research on Andy Kaufman, but there was actually very early, there was this idea of a father visiting. That was a very clear frame, in the middle he changes into someone else, and then the film starts again in a way. So that helps to have this structure. Actually, I found it sometimes more difficult to write this film before, because every scene could happen at every point in the beginning. I also think it's really important to try things out and not to just follow these rules. Sometimes, for example, I think it's good if you have a strong idea for the, let's call it, third act in a way. Just write the third act, and maybe you will change a lot or throw it away, but maybe you will find out that you don't need so much in the second, and so writing from first the third, the first, and then, because sometimes in the middle, it depends where you,
When do you involve us?
I mean, I have the feeling very early, I think. So sometimes I just send it to prove that I'm doing something. So just as a shocker, you know, like the 300 little loose stuff. But it's more that, when I sometimes feel it takes so long now, so. But actually very, very early, but, and we meet regularly, talk about, or also sometimes it's important for me just to get on the phone when I'm writing and say, just talk a little bit. It's not always necessary to sit and go through the whole thing, so, and yeah, that's great for me.
Is there a moment where you say, like, listen, Maren, we haven't heard from you for 2 months. I mean, why did you send something? Or you never do that? Maybe 2 months, a bit exaggerated.
No. We speak regularly.
We speak. I have an own office because there's the office, the Komplizenfilm office here in Kreuzberg, and I have a small, like a one-room apartment very close to where I live, which is my office because I could never work there. I mean, that's really there's so much zzz in the air the whole time. And there we phone and everything goes via phone, email, you know. And so there I can to write and then read a script or then also watch an edit or something. That's mainly the stuff I do, so.
And about Synonym, we saw Nadav's previous films, and I think at one time you said, "Have you seen The Kindergarten Teacher?" Or have you seen Policeman? And
I like that so much.
And then I contacted Nadav actually and told him, "Listen, if you ever need a German co-producer, we would be very honored, very interested." And then we, on the Toni Erdmann tour, there was also Elle, the French film Elle, with Sony Classics, and the producers of Elle would produce Synonym, and so that was kind of very organic. And at some point, these producers asked us if we would join the project, which we happily did. And now we are working on his next one as well with a different producer than now.
But we have to say, I mean, it's such a luxury to be a production company in a country where you can have something to offer, you know. I mean, this money, this is like, I also think it's a good thing that part of the German fund goes to projects abroad.
To be able to share that. Many people will be happy with that here. So we go here to the corner and then we go up there to you in the middle.
Thank you. Hello, I'm from Berlin and I have a big question and a small follow-up one. So what do you do, each one of you, to reach, to get into a creative mood, the state where everything seems to flow easily? Do you listen to music, and if so, which artists?
You read the Blickpunkt Film?
Then we're thrilled. No, I mean,
Are you?
You are the more creative one.
No, you're creative too. But I think maybe you're in the mood. Yeah. Do you have to get into the mood?
I don't have time for that. I just, it's really. I mean, we all have small children. It's really like during the day where we're doing our office job, basically. I mean, if I can, and in the evening we read scripts and see films. But it's really. I mean, it's actually, we really like to spend time with the people that we work with. I think that's our creative space. Let's say it that way. That we listen to the people that we work with and to each other, and I think that's actually the most. I think it's more an atmosphere of trust. Of being able to be yourself actually.
and we dream about one day there will be the moment where we're lying on the sofa and we will listen to the music, and so okay, we have to work a little bit harder, and then this day will come.
Now I feel bad that I really listen to music. I'm sorry. Yeah, music, yeah. Always, yeah, never good music, you know. I'm more like, yeah, sometimes these hits, you know. Or or YouTube is, but it's also dangerous, you know. Just the internet is really something. Sometimes I really go and get it out, because it's like, it's not enough to just deactivate it on the laptop. I recently thought it became so hard not just to be in a room alone with a laptop. Why? Yeah, and it hasn't been like that. Even when writing Toni Erdmann, I didn't feel it was such a, it felt so bizarre, you know. So, but this is really what I listen to music, and I have these headphones that are like, recently I start wearing them the whole time, even if there's no music. And it's very quiet, so it's even more quiet then. I don't know, yeah.
I have them too. I have them too, and I use them on business trips or trips when I don't want to cut off all this noise.
Yeah.
And the musician who also was here on the stage 2 days ago, Hildur, she also said it's important when she writes music to cut out all that noise, which means internet and stuff.
Yeah.
So this sounds very like a recurring theme. Yeah, thank you so much. Vielen Dank.
Thank you. So we go to the middle, up here.
Yeah, okay. Hi, so I'm from Turkey, first of all. And so my question is that in the last couple of years, there is a huge change in Berlin media landscape. I mean, Netflix came to Berlin, opened an office, and actually you guys, I think, produced Skylines also. So there's also that. And including this kind of new, renewed, which also people started saying that with Toni Erdmann, like the renewed interest maybe in German cinema, and also the Netflix interest with series. There's also talks about there is a lack of line producers, so not enough people, for example, lack of Fachkräfte or whatever. So with all this in mind in the background, what do you think your future as a production company in specifically, and the German media landscape generally?
That's a tough one. No, I mean, however, the conditions are changing, you know, like in cinema or Netflix or the other ones. It's creative content what we're talking about, and I think right now there's a big hunger for creative content, especially series, of course, right now. But it's actually what is actually changing is the way of distributing. You know, how the creative content comes to the people actually. And I think what really also changes right now is that everything gets much more expensive, you know, because the team costs have been exploding actually. So it becomes, and also we have the feeling that the way of financing really is changing, because for a lot of films that we are doing, the audience doesn't really go to cinema anymore. So there's less money in that circle, but more money in that circle. So, but basically, I mean, I think there's always going to be so much need for creative content, and so I'm not afraid of our future.
Jonas.
Yeah, I mean, I have no real answer. I just think that what we certainly feel is that more and more creative people are kind of going or are exclusive with some platforms or majors, so to say, and it's also true for talents in terms of DOPs or production managers that just big companies are taking them exclusively, which then raises the prices, of course, and makes it really much more difficult to get people. And so I think, and that's maybe the collective. I think what is important is that those who are not part of a big major or company of those sizes come together and try to share experience, talents, and vision. But I really have no answer where it will go. But I think something has to happen there for sure.
Big question. Maybe you have more to ask later on, but let's maybe move on to another question there in the balcony, and then we come back down here to you.
Hi, my name is Alex. I'm from Brazil, and I just wanted to say, Toni Erdmann, I'm here. It's one of my favorite films, and one of the things I really like about it are the performances, also the writing, the directing, everything. But my question is, how was the process of directing the actors? How was it? You could really see that they were in love with the characters. And how was the process of directing them, and how did they approach and really got under the skin of?
I mean, I always do long rehearsals before, so both of them are theater actors, so it was not hard to convince them. So the deal or the idea was that we prepare together, because anyhow the actors would prepare for themselves. I think it's better if I control everything. No, it's better that to really spend time together, because when everybody is alone in his room, like getting just afraid of what will happen, this doesn't make so much sense. And also for me, I try to get as much rehearsals as possible, and with every actor. So there was not a scene in that film that was not rehearsed before in a safe space, not too close to the shooting. So I have that rehearsals that are more free, where we try out variations of the scenes. After that rehearsal, that block, in a way, I always go back to the script to shorten things, or like to rewrite something, to improve things, because I've seen something, and then there's something, I try out different things. It's not that I think a rehearsal is never there to fix things, or like to say that's how it's gonna be, because that will kill the scene in the end. So it's more that we tried several. We like stretched a bit in every direction, and I tried to also work a bit like that during the shooting, because I don't. For every scene, I have like a strong thesis, but I never have the feeling that I know exactly what's right. I made so many times the experience that that you need something else in the editing. So I try to make at least 2 or 3, sometimes more variations. That doesn't mean I change the dialogues. It's more like what happens on the sub level. But there's one thing that I found in retrospective, maybe the most important part of rehearsal, is that I tried to get everybody, for the big scenes especially, together on the real location, and very short before the shooting or in the middle of the shooting. Like, for example, this naked party was, we did that choreography really very carefully together on location, and sometimes it's really hard if you start that process on the shooting day. The day is already gone, and in the end you can do it 4 times and that's it. So and that's something where I don't want them to really to play. It's more that I want them to, it's maybe this word staging in a way suits the best. So really just, because directing is sometimes so much about when do I take the glass, and am I in your way, and where do I get through when the camera is there. And so this takes so much time that I try to do as much of that as I can before, so we can like hope that these different, the knowledge from the rehearsals, from these both rehearsals come together then on the shooting day.
Okay. We go back here. There was a question there. Yes. And then we come here.
Hello, I'm from Berlin, and I remember at the Berlin Film Festival, after Toni Erdmann came out, there were rumors going around there would be an American remake with Jack Nicholson and Kristen Wiig, actually.
Yeah.
And the day after, one could read no Komplizenfilm say they have never heard of that. What was the story behind that? And if it had happened, would you have found it bizarre, or did you just not want it to happen, or was there nothing there?
No, I was open to it. I mean, they don't, and it was like that. So, and maybe there will be a remake. So we still don't know. The option, we gave away the option, but it's with this Hollywood. No, I don't really, so there were like so many, I mean, this Jack Nicholson story was really funny also, because you saw the film and you really called and said, I like that film so much, and he didn't do anything since 8 years, so everybody was like, whew. So, but for me, I made so many jokes during the shooting that, like I said, so it doesn't matter, it will be done better in the remake then. So, and we had in mind, like, I don't know, it was a joke there in a way. I think nobody believed me, always said like a remake of this. So, but I really think it could be, there could be a remake. I mean, nobody will do it again, 160 minutes. If you take out an hour, it will be a different film. I mean, if the remakes would be good, it's good to have something transforming. I don't think I own this in a way. Of course, I'm happy that I own it, but but you know what I mean
Please, go ahead. There in the back and here in the front.
I'm a bit sorry to go back to this, but Janine, you said that you learned a lot from your mistakes. And I'm really curious to know, you can, of course, choose the example you like.
There are so many. No, I mean, there's, for example, when you sign a contract, I mean, at the beginning, we signed some contracts that we were not very happy about in the aftermath. Let's say it that way. It's really, I mean, this is something also like what I really offer to a lot of younger colleagues of mine is really like before you sign any contract, just come and ask me, because this is something that I've experienced so much. Really, is the help of my producer colleagues, that and it's really that you can really. I mean, I always did get an answer. If you go to someone, it's like, how is it working, or how did you do it that way, or is that normal, or is that? I mean, like how you. I think that you will probably get an answer, and it's really. It's really that is really important, to keep asking and there are some contracts that I mean if I look at them now I'm really like why did I do that, but it's really learning by mistakes.
Thank you for asking that question. More important question, I think. Here the front was another question. Yeah.
Rita from Austria. I was wondering, thank you for your wonderful movies. I love them all, and I was just wondering, when you start writing them, do you already have in the back of your mind like the actors or actresses? Because you just mentioned like Toni Erdmann is like stage actors. Like, was that a distinct choice, or was that coincidence, or like what is the process when you're writing?
I mean, sometimes I have someone in mind, and sometimes he didn't end up in the film, or like sometimes I have a real person in mind. So it's, yeah, and you know, when you write something, some face comes up. You cannot resist that in a way. Although I really made the experience that you really need to do a casting. For me, for every role, no matter how small the role is, even if he opens the door to like take the package, to bring the package in the beginning, and if someone doesn't want to come to casting, it's clear that it's because I think I really need to. I mean, it already tells something when two people are sitting next to each other on a couch. You know, it's especially when doing this, everyone else with that couple, or also father and daughter. It's a mystery when with some people you thought it would be perfect. Maybe they look like very similar or something, but it don't have the feeling. So, and I also need to find out, if I can work with an actor, and I also think for every actor it should be the same, you know, to make it as a test if it could work. So, and I always ended up with theater actors, and maybe I don't know. It's not that I invite only theater actors, but I go to theater a lot. So we have a very. I'm happy that we have such a rich theater culture here, and because of that, also some really radical actors. For example, Peter was. I don't know. Was it in the 80s or something? He was like the actor under Stein at the Schaubühne. So when his foot was damaged, the Schaubühne was closed. So that's a big luck here.
Let me see. Here in the middle, we have a question. We have, I think, time for 2 more questions. But there's 4 hands. Okay, that's going to be complicated. So we start here and we go up to the balcony, and then we see what the time does.
Hi, my name is Matthew. I'm from Malta originally, but I also live and work in Canada because I'm half Canadian. Thank you, first of all, for Toni Erdmann. Very inspiring, but what is also inspiring is the model and the structure of the company and how it works. I wish there were more examples of it. I'm sure there is more, but I don't think it's enough. 2 questions. One of them is, I'm sure there's a clash between the writing side of things and the producing side of things for you, Maren. Is it difficult to overcome that difficulty when dealing with going to places, putting yourselves in the character's shoes, and then producing where it's more logistics, numbers, managing people?
I don't do this. No. Okay. So it's really like, that's why it's good that they are 2, you know. I was never, on that part, I was never a real, it's not that I can't read a calculation and a contract or something like that, but it's 2 different jobs, you know, and I realized, especially since I have children, I can't do both on the same level, and I'm not such, I help more doing my own films, so it's better. And but during the shooting, of course, I mean, I don't feel there's such a problem for me, because I really, and we know that when I direct, I'm a director, and
No, but it's also with our other project, Maren is sometimes we ask her to read scripts and take her notes or have her opinion on castings, and especially in the editing room.
It also depends if I'm close with one of the directors we work, or if there's a long history, then it's much closer. And but what I have to offer is mainly creative yeah.
And sometimes you also go to festivals and watch films?
Yeah, that's what I do. So because they are producers, maybe, they are running around here, and so I'm,
Yeah, also on this film Exile that is showing in Panorama right now, you spend quite a lot of time in the editing.
Yeah, it depends if I have to or connect with a film or a director, but I would never I really think also watching rushes from someone else because I know that I wouldn't like it myself, so sometimes I feel like going into a private room of someone, so I really need to I only do this when I'm invited, and I believe so much in the directors. Then I don't. If Miguel Gomes wants me to read the script and say something, I do it, but it's sometimes simply not necessary.
I think that's also the variety or the bandwidth. Sorry, the bandwidth that you bring as a collective, as producers. In that sense, you say each of you brings something else to the table. So in that sense, I can imagine that's actually a good thing for people also when they work with all three of you. Okay, moving on here. Is it a short question?
Very short.
Okay, good.
Are you working on anything else?
Is Maren working on anything else?
What was with the listening music in my office? No, I'm writing. Yeah, that's all I can say. Because I'm still in that cave. Yeah, I
just came out today for it. Thank you for that. There was another question here, and one in the back. No, sorry, in the balcony. Can you? So only one question, please, to give another chance as well. Here in the corner and there. Go ahead.
Okay, hi. I'm from Nuremberg, and I was really curious because you said you met in film school as a director and producer. And being a film student myself, I see a lot of collectives and production companies come up for a project or two, and then they disappear again. And I'm really curious about how you manage to form Komplizenfilm and then keep writing passion projects and distribute them, because I feel like a lot of people who form collectives or form production companies drop it and then go into the job and work on different productions, but they don't really get to do their films, their passion projects anymore. So that's something I'm really curious about.
How they manage to do their own projects next to other projects, right?
Yes.
You partly answered that, I think, already in the past hour, but...
I mean, it's really. I mean, the thing is, I think it's good to have I mean, I think for us, for example, it would be difficult if it was a lot of people of us. You know, I think it's really important to have this very strong connection between the three of us. And I think it's really that we really get along very well. You know, we're really friends, and we really love spending time with each other. And even though we don't have the same opinion on everything, but we have I think a very similar approach to seeing films and to work actually.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes there's this. I always also, when I teach sometimes at film school, so I always recommend that to stay in that. If it works, not to change it. Not even if you think you get maybe a bit more money somewhere else than with a bigger company, or at least try to continue working together, because it's really something to have made the first experiences together. And we were also lucky, I mean, with the first long film that we did together. Yeah, the first long films, they were successful, so we also had possibilities money-wise to spend it like on other projects. So of course that was also luck maybe, but anyway, I think it's good to, if something works, not to change it.
Never change a winning team. Yeah. Here in the corner, we had one more question, and then the last one down in the back.
Hi, I'm Nina. I'm
Japanese, Danish, Austrian. You were talking about those moments of redefining your path and in which way you want to go. In your choice of sort of maybe new young directors, maybe where their profiles are not yet as visible, what kind of qualities might you be looking for? Like, maybe if you can define it a bit more. Thanks.
Yeah, I think that in general, we are a very director-driven company. I mean, we really look for unique voices in directing. Basically, it's of course we do read a lot of scripts, but I think also if there's a great script and the directing is not there, it can turn out to be a not so good film, and the other way around. But it's really like we're really looking for filmmakers in that sense. But we're also really we're going to the presentation here of the film schools and watch short films basically and look at the director's works.
Anything to add? No? We go to the back here.
David from Germany. I wanted to ask if there's a story behind naming the company Komplizenfilm.
Nice last question.
It was your idea.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I just found it good, so I found it nice in a way. And I still like it. I don't know, it suits and yeah.
I liked it too. So.
And Jonas didn't want to change it when he joined. Yeah. Maybe one other question. Is there for anybody here or anybody seeing this when they rewatch the session or maybe even live? I'm not even sure if we are live, but if people would like to work with you, is there a way to approach you, or how could they do that? Or do you say like, no, we spot you and we call you? How is that for you?
info@komplizenfilm.com. No,
they can write you emails, you answer. You have people probably also working with you who like meet and everything.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think all the three of us are teaching also at film schools, and we often get approached. And if we find the time, that sometimes we just can't. Sometimes it's just impossible. But we always try to have an open ear and eye.
Well, I know there's probably more questions, but we don't have time for that anymore. I think we learned a couple of things today, which is you always need a room for yourself to make things work, or to be able to, even if it's with headphones or not, to disconnect from the things around you, or to make sure that you enjoy moments because they always pass, and as long as you enjoy them, it's important. But also that it really is a lot of fun to be friends with the people you work with, which is a luxury, I think. Thank you so much for sharing a bit of the little bit of the secrets about Komplizenfilm and the way you work. Very inspiring, and thanks for joining us this afternoon. Janine, Jonas, Maren.
Thank you.